Welcome to the Rush of Fear podcast, where we are covering Universal Orlando's premier scare event, Halloween Horror Nights, for our sister podcast, the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. We finally have a full event announcement, and we are so excited. So let the mayhem begin.
What a rush of fear.
Hello, everybody. This is Michelle, your host for today, and I'm so happy to be here, even though it is 8:30 in the morning. However, it's Friday the 13th, guys, which is just perfect coincidence. So with me, I've got Kenneth.
You bring your friends, I'll bring mine.
That's a little too creepy for 8:30 in the morning, just gonna say. And we also have Maddie.
Hi.
It's much more 8:30 in the morning.
I was trying so hard to come up with like a little bit, but I couldn't think of anything off the bat.
That was my impression of Jack inviting his people to brunch.
Oh, nice. On Friday the 13th. Yay. This is awesome.
Yay.
So, guys, we have a full event.
Yay!
Ooh. Oh my goodness. So we've been waiting for this for so long and speculating on what the holdup is, wondering if maybe they were capping capacity somehow and maybe not giving us all 9 houses, or, you know, there were all kinds of rumors going around, some of which were mine. But I'm just so happy to see that none of that is true. We have a full event and it looks like it's going to be one of the best ever.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. The more we see now that we get little descriptions of everything, I'm like, okay, there's nothing here that I'm not excited for.
No, nothing.
I can't make a ranking of like a hype list because I just want to see everything equally.
Isn't that crazy? Oh my God. Like I'm lost for words. I'm so excited. Especially after not having an event last year, you know, I'm like overflowing with excitement now. So let's jump in. I think that let's start with the scare zones this time.
Oh, we're going to start with the scare zones?
Yeah, let's start with scare zones. And Kenneth, you seem to know the most about like the history of HHN, and you've attended it far longer than Maddie and I have. So why don't you take over scare zones for us?
Sure. Yeah, I've attended 15 or 14 of the 30 years of 30 Fears, so I can do that. So yes, yesterday, around, what was it, like 11, 12 that they usually drop announcements, Horror Nights dropped the final batch of announcements, which included the remaining 5 houses, all 5 scare zones, and 2 live shows. And so going through the scare zones that were announced, we have 5 zones, and all the rumors were pretty much true, or all the speculation stuff. So first of all, in San Francisco, we have Crypt TV, which is that mysterious thing that no one really knew what it was. And now we know officially that it is a Crypt TV scare zone. And it says on the website, "Step inside Crypt TV, a dark universe of monsters that reside in the same reality. On your screen, in your pockets, and now San Francisco." So yeah, that's in the San Fran area. Of course, we've seen that stuff coming up in the streets, and the logo was on the some of the sets.
Yeah. So Kenneth, I know you mentioned before we started recording that you've actually started watching some of this Crypt TV stuff. Do you think this is going to be a cool scare zone?
I do. So I've watched the first season of The Look-See, and I watched The Birch because those were the 2 characters that looked the most interesting to me visually. I gotta say, I thought the character designs are incredible, which makes them a perfect fit for Halloween Horror Nights. I thought the actual shorts were a little bit less scary than I was expecting them to be. But they were still pretty fun and pretty interesting. And it's, I've been listening to a lot of other, Horror Nights podcasts, and the comparison I've heard made a lot is it's kind of like a horror version of Quibi if you remember Quibi, that like launched and died during the pandemic.
I don't remember that.
What?
No, Quibi was like a video streaming app. Quibi stands for Quick Bites. So they were like short episodes, like 10, 15-minute top episodes of original shows made for this app. I think one of the biggest things that was on Quibi was like they relaunched Reno 911 on there.
Weird.
It didn't last like more than maybe like a couple months. But Crypt TV is kind of like that, except it's just all on YouTube. So Crypt TV actually even did a nice thing. And if you go on their official Twitter account, which is just at Crypt TV, and there's two T's, there's the T that's in the word crypt, and then there's also another T in TV. So it's two T's right in a row.
Okay.
But it's at Crypt TV on Twitter. They actually were really nice and tweeted out a playlist that some person just made on YouTube of all of the episodes that have monsters that will be featured in the Scare Zone. And they even told that person, like, you're missing these two episodes, or like, you're missing these two monsters. And so the person was like, oh, great, I'll update the playlist. And so they put it out there. So that's like, if you want to study what's going to be in the zone, you can go to the Crypt TV Twitter and find it, or you can just look up on YouTube. There's a playlist called Crypt TV Prep, which has 23 videos in it. And that one is made by a YouTube user named Trevor Book. So if you're looking for where you can study for this zone and get to know all these monsters before you go meet them face to face, that is a really useful little resource and playlist that's on YouTube, and it's all free. And the episodes are pretty short. Like the Look-See chronological supercut of season 1 is what I watched, and it's like all 5 or 6 episodes of season 1 of the Look-See, and the whole thing is 16 minutes and 44 seconds. So
Sweet.
Yeah,
I'll be doing that as soon as we're done recording.
Yeah, really quick, digestible things. The Birch is like one episode just with that one monster, and that video is 4 minutes and 43 seconds. So they're very short, and the creature designs, the monster designs, are really elaborate and will be very good for a Scare Zone. So
sweet. I
am looking forward to this. I'm excited to dive more into the shorts and the episodes that are on there. So yeah, I think this is a good fit. And it's also cool that they're introducing, the Horror Nights audience to something that a lot of us, I don't think, had ever heard of before.
Yeah.
No.
That is cool.
Yeah. They, I'm on their Twitter account right now, and they changed their name. Like the official Crypt TV, like verified thing is now Crypt TV Scare Zone at HHN 30 Skull Red Heart.
Yeah. So they're as excited
funny
as we are.
Yeah.
They should be. I mean, that's amazing to be fairly new and have their own Scare Zone at, like we said, the Orlando's premier scare event. That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like these are looking, just because I found the playlist, I'll post it on the Instagram for anyone who wants to watch along. But just looking at the little like images next, like
the thumbnails
the thumbnails for YouTube, like these are monsters that I feel like Universal Creative would have so much fun with by like their images alone. But the Birch is going to be, because now everyone's in rehearsals and everything is announced. So, people are posting like what they're going to be and where they are. But the Birch is going to be a stilt scare actor.
Yeah.
So that is going to be, I think, super cool. My only thing, though, is this zone is just so small. Like we saw it last year for Hillbilly Deluxe, and like those set pieces were large and like it was a bottleneck, but I feel like these ones are going to be, I don't know. I get nervous with San Francisco because it's such a small area to begin with. And then you have the exit of Fast and Furious, and it just, with big set pieces and like thinking about someone on stilts over there too. I'm worried.
Yeah.
I'm worried it's going to be a very claustrophobic zone.
And we're going to have the rush of, or I guess it is a rush of people that are leaving the Fear Factor Stadium for the show that is going to be in there. From when I was a coordinator in Invasion in San Fran Zone, every time Bill and Ted would let out, it was like our street got just completely flooded, shoulder to shoulder packed of people. We would tell all the aliens, like, all right, when Bill and Ted gets out, just go up onto the sidewalks, clear the streets, and like, don't be in the middle of that huge crowd, because we can't see what's happening,
Yeah.
So it might be a similar thing. I mean, they have those stages set up, so it's possible that all these characters will just stay on their little stages, on their scenes, and they won't really be impacted by the level of crowd,
Yeah. We'll see. We see. Will. Yeah.
So anyway, moving on from Crypt TV to 30 Years, 30 Fears. And that is the first scare zone that, well, no, I guess it's the second one that we saw. New York was the first one. But anyway, 30 Years, 30 Fears here says, the monsters you've most dreaded from past Halloween Horror Nights have taken over the streets. They're back, and your history. So this is in Avenue of the Stars, up in the front of the park between Minions and Shrek. And yeah, this is going to be our Icons zone celebrating one of the zones celebrating the history of the event, because there's a few of them.
This looks amazing. Just the magnitude of what they've set up so far. It just looks like it's going to be incredible. And I'm so excited to meet Chance again. I hope she's on stage again like she was before, because that was one of my favorite things ever at Halloween Horror Nights, was interacting with her. I'm so excited about the scare zone.
Oh, yeah. And that huge thing that I know everybody's been talking about with the sign and stuff, and apparently people have seen them installing like propane tanks into it, so it's probably going to be shooting flames up into the sky.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah, like, I know Stay and Scream is the way to go, but like, I almost want to like just enter through the main gates so I can be greeted by that at the start of my night,
Oh my goodness.
For 28, I don't think I ever was there at the opening gates. I was always either in Stay and Scream or coming in after it had already been open for a little bit because of work. But for 29, I was like running in from work, and I remember this so distinctly, but I was running in from work, and literally I got up to the gate to go in for Stay and Scream as they were closing the thing, so they wouldn't let me in. But I was literally, it was fine though, because I had my coffee, so I was like, whatever. So I was literally the first person up against that gate,
which is the best.
Yeah, and so I actually got to see the opening scaremony for the very first time for 29.
Isn't it incredible?
And it was pretty cool. Like, it is weird because it is so bright outside, and for 29 they just had, it was like one stilt walker from Anarcade, and then like 4 of the chainsaws from Anarcade. So I feel like that wasn't like I've seen videos of them much bigger, but for this one, I feel like this opening ceremony is going to be so cool, especially with that scare zone being the first thing that you see. But also, this, from what I've been seeing on Twitter, the Horror Nights, the red Horror Nights sign that's up there and that whole trellis bit is one that they've used before, and it lights up, and it's beautiful from the pictures that I've seen from previous events where they've had it. So I just want to like close down HHN and then get a picture, kind of like people do with the castle on Main Street. Yeah, with like no one behind you, with just the red sign and the candles up the side.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be so pretty.
It's going to be so pretty. And like you were saying, so that there is something to be said for going into the event with the crowds. I know everybody who's seasoned HHN followers do the Stay and Scream thing, but it's just not my favorite. I don't get that same rush of doing Stay and Scream that I do when I'm standing in the crowd out there waiting, because you're in the crowd, everybody's like hyped up and excited. The crowd gets bigger and bigger every minute that goes by. And then when it gets closer, we're all kind of watching our watches, waiting. And then like usually fog starts slowly and the music starts playing and everybody starts cheering. And then you can hear the chainsaws start revving up. And it's just like the coolest feeling and rush of excitement ever. So especially this year with seeing how that facade, that when you first are walking into this scare zone, I'm going to go and camp out at the gate. Seriously, just because I want that effect, and it's going to be so amazing.
Would not recommend for people who have like issues with claustrophobia or like large crowds. But if you
wonder, how are they going to do that?
Yeah,
are they going to allow us to crowd up like that? Or do you think they're going to put us in some big, huge switchback line?
No, they'll allow it.
Yeah.
You think they'll allow it?
Yeah. 'Cause they haven't really been doing any.
They've been strongly encouraging guests to do their own,
social distancing.
Right.
Okay. But they're not enforcing anything. So
no.
Sweet. Get your vaccinations, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please. Not even just for this, just in general. So that we can get this over with and in the rear view. Jesus.
Yep. Awesome.
But yeah.
Anyway, moving on from 30 years on to New York, where we have Seek and Destroy, officially confirmed that is the name of this zone. Apparently it does not have anything to do with a video game or Metallica. So
yeah,
because that was another thing that was going around a lot. But Seek and Destroy, a ruthless alien cyber regime led by the Controller has taken over New York, turning humans into fuel. Succumb or be destroyed. Which, I mean, turning humans into fuel, that's, what I had kind of gathered or guessed from what we could see. It looked like they had, people hooked up to hoses draining their blood. So, and if you look at the picture of the, the little image for this zone, there's like this wireframe face with red eyes that looks like that's probably the Controller, like some sort of, like AI or computer consciousness that is, in charge of all this. It seems to me this is the only scare zone. This and Crypt TV, these are the only zones that are not tied to any sort of HHN history. This is just all new for this year.
Yeah. And this is the only real, original, like no previous. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing,
which is fun.
There's nothing you can read up on or watch to kind of get to know what this is going to be. We all just are going to show up and learn something new.
Yeah.
It was so funny though, because as I was reading it for the first time, before I made our Instagram stories for yesterday, I was like, a ruthless alien cyber regime. And then I literally had one of those, that's so Raven, eyes wide open, moments. 'Cause I was just thrown. I was thrust back into HHN 28 with the Academy of Villains cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
If you look at just that verbiage alone, cyber regime, I was like, oh my God, what? But if you look at the cover art for the words are really hard this morning. Yeah. But you were talking about the AI and the red eyes. That looks very kind of similar to the AI face that was a part of that show as well. So I was just kind of this is funny, but it kind of also feels like Terminator.
Yes.
In a way. Yeah. I'm excited though. I'm excited to see what they have, because it says alien cyber regime. So my brain automatically goes to invasion scare zone type aliens, where it's very campy sci-fi, but I don't know, what are the scare actors going to be dressed in? Are they going to be actual aliens? Are they going to be cyborg humans that are just
That's what I'm picturing more. Is
this feels this feels a lot less lighthearted than Invasion.
Oh, yeah.
Invasion was a total, like, goofy 50s, kind of a scary version of a silly thing, where this feels a lot more
scary.
Yeah, like they're trying to be more serious with this one. I also, based on the little, cover art for this zone, there's spotlights, and I really hope there are spotlights coming down from the roofs, like searching for people. I think I've never seen that in a zone, and that would be such a cool atmospheric touch to have, like, spotlights, looking around on the ground, and especially like through the fog. Man, I really hope that they have that. That would look so cool. I think this might be the best. I have not been the biggest fan of any of the zones in New York for the past few years. This, I think, has a lot of potential to be the best one since. I think The Purge was the last one that I thought was really effective. In 2017, and 2016 was awesome too. I really liked whatever that one was called. I forget. Survive or Die.
The one that I always forget.
Yeah.
It goes around.
Yeah. It's a pretty, we're going to forget the name of this one too. Seek and Destroy. It's just like so nondescript.
Yeah. Well, one of my friends pointed that out, like, on Twitter. I think I sent it to you guys, the screen cap of it, where it's like all of these names, especially the houses that we'll get into, like, a lot of them are like full sentences. It's like Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. Like,
right.
Yeah, it was Bats.
Yeah.
Bats was saying that.
Yeah.
But they were titled like Fall Out Boy song titles.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That was good.
But just like, we all have to say the full name for comedic effect, because it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be puppet theater or just puppets. It's going to be puppet theater captive audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly my style of, like, that's something I would have done anyway. So when I saw them say that, I was like, oh yeah, that's me too.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm super excited about this next scare zone. Central Park tends to be the area that I always love the most. It's usually the most beautiful. So this one's going to be exciting.
So this is Gorewood Forest, which the name doesn't necessarily suggest what it is exactly, but what it is 16 years after the gory sacrifices of Terra Cruentis, the heartless Terra Queen is back. Evil is in her nature. So this is the, follow through on the promise that the Terra Queen made on the last night of Halloween Horror Nights 15 in 2005, which was the first year that I went to the event as a young 15-year-old scared little boy. So yeah, this is the return of the Terra Queen, a character that I honestly did not think anyone would ever care about or remember, but what we found with Horror Nights is that everyone will uncover everything, and everything will have its diehard fans, even if it was just a little afterthought thing or something that, marketing tried to erase. It doesn't matter. We celebrate everything here, and the Terra Queen said she would be back, and so she is back. Yeah.
Is Gorewood Forest like her thing? Like, is that because I'm seeing pictures of like that kind of tree stump that has a very distinct look to it, and it looks so cool. I'm excited for the rest of the zone just based off of that little bit that we have. But like, was that her kind of zone design before as well?
Kind of. It's hard to remember for, that was my first year and I was trying not to look at things because I was terrified. But what I do remember is that every section of Islands of Adventure was a different part of Terra Cruentis. And so each island was... Let me see if I can find what they were all called. There's Blood Thunder Alley, the Cemetery Mines, the Fire Pits, the Terra Guard Run. So like every island was renamed and rethemed to be part of her realm. You know what I guess if that makes sense. So it doesn't look like any of them were named Gorewood Forest. If I think the closest that would have been Jurassic Park, but that was the cemetery mines, I want to say. There were definitely like mine shafts with like big dog-like monsters in them that were pretty cool. And then Blood Thunder Alley was Marvel Superhero Island. The Fire Pits was Lost Continent, and Terra Guard Run was the port of entry. And then Toon Lagoon and Seuss Landing were kind of just dead zones. But yeah,
well, so this sounds like it's going to be pretty. I picture people on stilts, and because of the forest aspect of it. And I picture, of course, they're going to put something up in the trees to make it beautiful lighting wise. I'm sure this is going to be a pretty zone, and I love that. I mean, it's going to be gory too, obviously, Gorewood Forest, but usually this, because of the intimacy of this zone and the trees overhead, it's usually a very beautiful zone. So
yeah. I hope we get some sort of light in the tree, like lanterns, or because we're not going to get pumpkins. I understand that. I'm very sad. It's okay. We're going to get a whole house full of pumpkins, but I at least want something in the trees.
Yeah,
they will.
Please.
But this next scare zone, I think, is going to be kind of on the gory side.
This is the most exciting. Okay, lights, camera, action, Eddie's Revenge, which right away, lights, camera, action is a returning scare zone from the events past. I think it was 2006, probably. I'm looking at the list of no, it wasn't 2006. Lights, camera, action.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Was in 2009. 2009, there was a scare zone also in Hollywood called Lights, Camera, Action. Or was it in San Fran? I don't know. I know they've done it before. But this is Lights, Camera, Action, Eddie's Revenge. And the premise is essentially the same, except this time they have Eddie instead of just some crazy person. So it's get ready for the feel-bad movie of the year. Eddie Schmidt, Jack the Clown's brother, is filming a horror film, and the monsters are real. So this is in Hollywood. This is a returning premise with another character from the event's history. But the difference this time is last time they did Lights, Camera, Action, it was just like, it was like film crew members running around as victims, and then basically chainsaw guys running around as actual murderers when they were supposed to be just actors in the movie. This time, it looks like each movie is a returning scare zone from the events past. So a lot of these little stages and sets are already up in Hollywood. And what we have seen so far is the return of Vamp 55, which I am thrilled about because, of course, I was in that scare zone. And then this morning, I'm glad we're recording today instead of yesterday because more has gone up since last night. So we also now have a stage for Invasion, which was the other scare zone that I worked in as a coordinator. So that is super exciting that both of my zones are here represented in this. I didn't think Invasion would ever get any celebration or recognition because it kind of felt like people didn't love that zone for the most part. Like it was a very hit or miss. Like people were either in love with it or they hated it. So I'm glad that it's back. But then this is for Maddie. They heard Maddie and they said, we're going to do it for Maddie. We have the return of Treeks and Foons.
Yes!
Wow.
They have a little stage. When I first saw it, I was like, is this Killer Clowns? No, it's Treeks and Foons.
Wow.
I could cry. I will cry. I picture myself walking into that scare zone and just like mindlessly walking up to that stage and just looking at one of the Teeks and Foons and just being like, I have waited so long to see you in person. And this character is just going to be like, okay. Like, you don't understand.
It's so exciting that they are bringing that back. Oh my gosh. And the fact that, like, I mean, how many, we've had 3 milestone anniversaries since they debuted in 2002. Like they could have been at the 20th anniversary or the 15th anniversary or the 25th anniversary, but no, they waited for the 30th so that Maddie could see them.
Yeah. They said, oh, she's finally going to the event. Okay. All right.
So
bring them back.
That's so exciting. And then there's also another one here. It is an old decrepit looking mansion that says HHN at the top of the gates. So this could be any number of things. It immediately brings to mind Body Collectors, Reflections of the Past, or it could also be something like Gothic or not Gothic, Winter's Night, stuff like that. So I don't know. This one doesn't have a name specifically on it, but it could be any number of things. So we'll have to, I guess, just wait and find out.
I'm not going to lie to you. When I first saw that picture, when you were telling us to go look at it, I kept looking at it and I had to zoom in to see what the little letters were. Because when I first saw it, I was like, Haunted Mansion? Huh?
It does look like a Haunted Mansion.
Right?
It's the same font.
Yeah. And scary, mansion-y, housey thingy. I don't know. I don't know. I think I don't know. I have no idea what it could be, but I'm excited. How many stages do they have left though that are not decorated?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I have not seen these in person.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any others. I know I did see the one that has Vamp on it now the day before they put the Vamp background on it. So that day there was just one stage and it had nothing. And I was like, oh, look, something's up. Who knows what it's going to be? And then the next day I see pictures of Vamp 55 and I was like, oh. I mean, of course I thought that one would, that zone has such a following and it was such a hit that it's not a surprise to me when that one is brought back. Obviously they did a whole sequel to it with Vamp 85. So the legacy and the history of that and the celebration of that has been well established. Invasion is the one that really gets me. I wasn't even a character in that zone, but I'm just so proud of all of the cast and everyone in that. And just the fact that anyone appreciated it as much as I did, because I felt like the only crazy person that really loved it. I was like, this is made just for me. And I get to spend
have one made just for Kenneth night. And one made just for Maddie. Look at that.
Oh, so anyway, those are the zones. Those are the scare zones. So that's what we have. I'm looking forward to every single one of these. There isn't one that I'm like, I can skip that. No, all of them are equal in my excitement. I guess Crypt TV is at the bottom just because I'm not as familiar with it, but I am planning on getting familiar with it, and then I will be equally excited.
Yeah, for sure. If any time was the time to get multi-night tickets for this event, this is probably the year to do so, because I don't think one night's going to do it.
Absolutely not.
All right, let's move on to the shows, because I'm saving the best for last.
Sure.
So we do have the announcement of the Lagoon show, which we all assumed was going to happen again, but now we have a name. It's Marathon of Mayhem Carnage Factory.
Yeah.
So the little blurb about it says there's no manufacturing the screams as a terrifying show comes to life in Universal Studios Lagoon. It's a fear factory. So probably a little less nostalgic than the last Marathon of Mayhem we had. This one seems to be a little bit more on the gory or scary side, no?
I don't understand how they could do that, though. Because a Lagoon show, I don't see the potential of how you could actually make it scary. That was what was so good about the original Marathon of Mayhem, which I'm so happy that they're keeping the name. Marathon of Mayhem is just what a Horror Nights Lagoon show is now called.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. So what was so perfect about the first Marathon of Mayhem is that it was completely music driven, and whether that was nostalgic music or current music, I think isn't important. It's just that that kind of show really only does really well when it is music based. I think there's a lot of parts of the cinematic celebration that are too action heavy or too story or like dialogue driven, and it just doesn't really work in that setting. It's really got to be music driven. And so as long as this uses music, whether it's modern music, if they got to use the Beetlejuice theme, right? Can you imagine like hearing that theme played through those huge speakers, like feeling that like pumping bass in your chest for the Beetlejuice theme? Like I gotta see that.
They gotta do the epic version though. I think I sent that to you guys, right? The epic, like kind of remixed version of the Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah, I think you did.
Oh my God. I listened to that on repeat. There's something about it. It's just, it's so good. But yeah, I would say definitely music. But I wonder though, is it going to be kind of like going through like the gory past of Halloween Horror Nights? So like all the different icons are going to have their moment in the zone or in the show, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, like all the big... Because I think, I don't know, because that's kind of how it was last year. Like we had the Stranger Things section, we had the Killer Clowns section, things like that. So what if we're just going to go through all of the different like scary stuff we've had? I don't know.
The 30 Years of 30 Fears theme.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, it sounds, regardless, it sounds to be like it's going to be a tad bit more gory than the one 2 years ago. I just picture like somehow lighting effects on the water, them making it look like blood, shooting out everywhere. Like it just, cool. I don't know. It just feels like it's going to be more gory than before, which is fine, which is going to be cool. Regardless, it's going to be an amazing show.
Yeah.
Because it just has to be based on past performance, right?
Yeah.
So
last thing I'll say about this before we move on is just, I think that the upgrade of the lagoon, as much as I did like the cinematic spectacular that was there before the cinematic celebration, upgrading this lagoon to do the kinds of shows that they can now do, I think is the best investment the park has ever made in its infrastructure. Like the versatility of the lagoon to do so many different kinds of shows is you can't put a price on it. Like they've done 3 different shows or like things with it now so far, and there's just infinite possibilities of more that they can do with it. So I think I'm just excited to see it utilized in such a way.
Totally agree. And then the next show that we have, which is going into the Fear Factor stage, is called Halloween Nightmare Fuel. And this says a new show is igniting Halloween Horror Nights featuring fire, pyro, and aerial performers.
Yeah.
Which isn't pyro fire? Or I guess it's like fireworks.
Yeah. I don't
Sometimes.
know, but I have no idea what to expect with this show other than fire and people swinging above me.
There's going to be dancing. I do know that.
Yes.
But not a troupe. It's going to be actual universal
dancers.
Like, people. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. There had been so many rumors that there was going to be a magic show or it was going to be a, Jack show. And I think that now this is so vague.
It is very
vague. So vague. Yeah.
It almost feels like Cirque du Soleil vague. Like it's just going to be a pretty show, but not necessarily like, it's not going to be like, it doesn't seem gory or anything like that, Jack based, right? I don't know. It just feels very Cirque du Soleil for me.
What it could be, what I could maybe see it being, and I again, like I have no information other than what is written here on the website. But what I could imagine is if it was like, Jack is the leader of the Carnival of Carnage. So what if this is just like one of the shows from the carnival and Jack's not in it, but it is from his carnival?
From his carnival.
So it's just like a scary circus show with it, dancers and aerial performers and fire and pyro. Like who knows? I mean,
I
guess.
Don't know. We have no idea what this is going to be, but we will let you know as soon as we do.
Well, In the blog post for Jack, it said we were going to see him in 3 different places. So we're obviously going to see him in the house. We're going to see him in the 30-year scare zone.
Well, we're also seeing him at Cabana Bay.
Oh.
Will he actually be at Cabana Bay, or is it just like...
No. I think it's just his stuff.
Yeah, it's his storage unit.
I don't know. Oh, goodness.
So I'm wondering if we're going to see him in either the Carnage Factory Lagoon show or somehow in this show as well for our 3rd iteration of Jack at the event.
Yeah,
he should be. He should be like the host of the Marathon of Mayhem this year.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. What a missed opportunity to not have him like huge on those water screens.
Right.
That would be cool.
Yep. Sweet. Well, I'm just happy that we're having a second show because it's the place I go to rest my feet halfway through the night. So,
oh yeah.
The shows also pull in a lot of people.
They do.
Out of like scare zones and houses and stuff, which is always nice.
Yep. So
Nightmare Fuel is definitely, it's going to have to rely on word of mouth because no one knows what it is. And when it, by the time Academy of Villains got into the Fear Factor stage, everyone knew who they were and what they were capable of. But this time it's like, come into this theater and find out what this is because you don't know and we didn't tell you.
Hey,
that's funny. All right. Well, let's move on to houses because we are getting close to our hour mark. So, Maddie,
all right.
Tell us what we have newly announced.
Yeah. So the rest of our house lineup, super fun. We're going to start in the order of what was on the website. So first up is Welcome to Scary Horror in the Heartland. The little bio and bullet points we had on the website say, the town placed a sign at the entrance of Cary, Ohio, saying it's a nice place to live. Unfortunately, nobody lives here very long. No one escapes from Cary, where bad things just happen. And a new terror rains down year after year. If it claws, bites, feasts on blood, or just likes to rip people to shreds, it somehow finds its way to Cary. Experience an endless parade of unimaginable terrors. Oh my God.
Sorry, I mute myself here.
That's staying in. That was good. Experience an endless parade of unimaginable terrors from horrifying creatures to bloodthirsty maniacs. You can scream all you want in Cary, but everybody's too busy doing their own screaming to pay much notice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little creepy, huh?
Yeah. So
I'm excited about this one. I love the recurring theme of Cary throughout the history of HHN.
Oh, yeah.
I think that is so, so cool. And it's not a huge surprise that this house was announced because we've been seeing the facade for a while now, kind of like the churro stand issue. But I'm happy to hear a little bit more about it, and it's going to be super cool.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like this is the house version of Lights, Camera, Action. That's the scare zone that's celebrating all the past other zones. And then this is the house that's celebrating not the icons, but all the other just things from HHN past.
Right. Yes. That have happened in Cary.
Yeah. And that's fun. I love how they've spread everything out in terms of the retrospectives. The icons get their own place to shine. The rest of HHN history gets its own place to shine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, y'all, there's a lot though. I just looked up on the Horror Nights wiki page all the appearances of Cary, Ohio in Horror Nights. All right, buckle up. Ready? Buckle. There we go. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I pull on the yellow tab. I'm ready.
Okay, great. Okay. Scream House Revisited. All Night Die-In Take 2. The Schoolhouse, spelled with a K instead of a C. Horrorwood Die-In. The Spawning. Leave It to Cleaver. The Orphanage, Ashes to Ashes. Legendary Truth. The Windot Estate. Havoc, Dogs of War. Zombiegeddon. That is the best. Catacombs. Catacombs, Black Death Rising. HR Blood and Guts presents Holidays of Horror. Gothic, Dead End, Afterlife, Death's Vengeance. Havoc Derailed, All Night Die-In double feature. Lunatics Playground 3D, You Won't Stand a Chance. Hive, Twisted Tradition, Slaughter Cinema.
Wow.
That's a lot.
I would definitely expect to see the return of characters from Leave It to Cleaver, HR Blood and Guts.
That's what people have been saying, yeah.
I'm thinking Slaughter Cinema.
You think, I mean, I hope so.
Wouldn't that be so awesome?
Slaughter Cinema is easily one of my favorite things that I've ever seen at the event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that the people that are on the sign look like the people from, I think, Leave It to Cleaver, like that family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of do.
Mm-hmm. So I'm excited though. I mean, no matter what, it's for someone that has only been going since 27. I'm excited to finally get to see in person some of the things that I've been like watching on YouTube and listening to in other people's podcasts. And like, I love listening to the people on the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights because they've been going since like the beginning of the event. So it's so much fun to hear them talk about all this stuff that I've never gotten to experience. And now potentially I'm going to get to see what everyone has been talking about for so long. So that I think to me is the best part of this year is like, I feel like I've been a part of the history, but now I actually get to like feel like I've experienced at least some of the history of Horror Nights.
I feel the same way for sure.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. It's going to be great. Yeah. Oh, so this one's the MIB tent.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Thought I would throw that one in there as well. Okay.
Tent 3 and under official names.
Fancy.
But yes, the MIB tent works just as well.
Yeah.
I think this next one might be one. It might be the house I'm most excited about, to be honest with you.
I'm pumped. All right. So the wicked growth realm of the pumpkin. An evil rot has taken root in the land. It's time once again for the rise of the pumpkin lord who grows Halloween like a...
malignant.
There we go. Yep. Like a malignant vine. His minions are scouring the countryside, collecting unwilling sacrifices in order to summon the pumpkin lord. The closer to Halloween, the more people practice the tradition. The greater the power the pumpkin lord grows. As the pumpkins grow ever bigger, your fears grow ever greater, and your odds of escape will grow smaller. From the cemetery to the forest, there's no breaking free from the tenacious vines of the merciless pumpkin lord.
Ooh.
Guys, this is going to be so cool. So that we got a sneak peek aerial view of the entrance of this house.
Beautiful.
Oh my God. It looks like it's going to be a long tunnel that you enter in through, and it's all black on the inside with the glowing pumpkins.
Yeah.
And, I mean, oh my goodness.
Like head to toe archway glowing pumpkins. And I think if you zoom in a lot, it looks like they're like cut kind of like jack-o'-lanterns. And I can just picture like a fake candle inside, like with that nice like candle flicker. Oh my God.
They're probably the same pumpkins that have been put in the trees for the past couple of years.
Yep,
for sure. And something about this that really catches my eye is the fact about the pumpkins growing bigger and bigger as your fear grows. So I feel like the further into the house you get, the bigger the pumpkins are going to be, right? And like the more claustrophobic you're going to feel, like you can't find your way out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I almost wish I hadn't seen that aerial view of the facade, because I wish I could have had the experience of rounding the corner and seeing that.
Fair,
just not knowing what I was about to see. But man, it looks good. I'm expecting something to the level of the intensity of Scarecrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm hoping that this house is. And that tent, you know, the tents are perfect for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And this is in tent 2, which was home to my first haunted house, which was Insidious, was in the same location. So I always have a good, you know, sentimental feeling walking into that, into that tent. And whenever anything really great is in there, I just feel, you know, an unearned sense of pride. I have nothing to do with that.
Is tent 2 Nightingales or Depths of Fear?
Depths of Fear.
Okay. Because those are the only 2 houses that I worked in 29 was Nightingales and Depths of Fear. So I, along with you, do feel a sense of pride.
Yes.
This is going to be beautiful. However, the next one I think is going to be probably the scariest.
Yes, this one is my number 1. I'm beyond excited. So up next is Puppet Theater Captive Audience. Open Scene, a creepy, abandoned old theater from the early 1900s, San Francisco. A puppeteer and a ballet troupe have been trapped there ever since, and they'd kill for an audience. Whether you're a puppet or a patron, that's your cue to scream. All the blood will drain from your face as you see the green room run red with blood. Your horror grows as you come upon grotesque living marionettes made from severed limbs.
Yeah.
If you manage to escape their gory puppetry, then you'll become a part of the skeletal audience rotting in place.
This is going to be crazy, creepy, and gory, guys.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I just see all these like body parts on strings, you know,
Yes.
and I wonder how creative they'd had to get in order to make the people look like they're still alive, but in pieces and attached. And it's just going to be cool.
I'm so excited. It's like, yeah.
And we've seen a lot of...
We've known this one was coming because we got a video about it, over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like in October last year. It's like an 8-minute video too. I watched it recently. Every year I make a playlist on my YouTube account of all of the videos that are released for HHN, whether it be announcements or even like once the event has started and it's like visit Halloween Horror Nights and it has like all of the like sizzle reel of you know all this year's scare zones and houses and stuff. But I lumped this go behind the scenes of Universal's Halloween Horror Nights video in with that. And so I rewatched all of them recently, and it's 8 minutes and 6 seconds of a tour of this house and just showing you what's in there, even though last year we didn't get to see it. So this year we finally get to walk in there, and it's going to be gross and creepy.
Yes.
But also like beautiful, like gross and creepy, but there's something I had a lot of phases in my childhood. And one of my weird phases after my, I'm going to be a tornado chaser phase was, my Phantom of the Opera phase. So creepy theaters are, for some reason I love them. So this is just going to be so exciting. But it's also, I guess, like it's based in San Francisco, yes, but the like ballet and puppeteer troupe are based off of like older European like theater troupes. And there's such a difference between like American theater and like European theater. And European theater just has this like, I don't even know how to describe it. They just have this, I don't know, this more like horror feel to it, you know? Like I'm thinking like early, like Shakespeare, you know, like costumes and things like that. I don't know. There's something more inherently scary about the history of European theater than there is like American theater, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good talk. Okay, so next we have Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. You're about to discover the sinister reality behind the seemingly innocent childhood tradition. All children must give up their baby teeth to the goblin-esque tooth fairy or pay a gruesome price. It's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Step into an old manor house that has been swarmed by yellow-clawed friends, dripping with blood, teeth, and gore. Grit your teeth as you see the evil fairies extract their tooth bounty by force while their victims struggle in vain. Hold in your screams or risk exposing your own teeth to their monstrous, grasping claws.
And we did see this one last year.
Yes, we did. It was good.
I liked it. I think at this point it's last on my... I don't make a hype list. I don't usually rank things like that. But this is definitely like the one that I'm least interested in seeing again.
Yeah.
Just, I liked it a lot, but I'm more interested to see all the new stuff and see the other two returning houses again than I am seeing this house again.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Like for HHN Light, like out of the two of the three that I saw, because I wasn't able to see Beetlejuice, like this one was definitely my least favorite of all of them. I loved Bride of Frankenstein so much, but I am excited. I'm excited to see this one, hopefully without any shower curtain plexiglass, like kind of thing. Cause I think that for me kind of took away a bit of it. Like obviously safety, I understand why it was there. It was good that it was there. But I do think that this one is going to thrive, hopefully, without that. Because it was a beautiful house.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful house. Like no spoilers or anything, even though they basically posted the entire front of the house that you walk into on the blog post. But like that opening was not what I was expecting at all. And that was the coolest thing. But the house itself was so pretty. And like the design of the characters, but also the creatures, like you don't think of a tooth fairy of being like goblin-y. You think like glitter, fairy wings, pink dress, right. Like, so it was cool.
Do you agree that this almost feels like an unofficial entry into like a Scary Tales series? Oh,
kind of, yeah.
Because that's definitely something I heard people talking about, and even with the way that this house opens with the, I don't know how much we should say, but the way it starts feels very similar to Scary Tales and the way that they've done those in the past. Yeah,
I think Scary Tales is a very fun, like, fairy tales back in the day were not cute and bright and shiny. Like the Little Mermaid in the original book turns into sea foam because she doesn't kiss Prince Eric. Like it's like the stepmother in Cinderella chops off the toes of the stepsisters to fit into the glass slipper. Like fairy tales are not meant to be cute and shiny. That just happened because of Disney.
Right. They were like cautionary tales meant to scare kids into behaving.
Exactly. So like the fact that Horror Nights has taken fairy tales that Disney has cutesy-fied and like basically turned them into horror things is so fun. And I only know the Scary Tales from 28. Like that is the only thing that I have actually experienced from like the Scary Tale series here in Horror Nights. But like, I'd love for them to do more in the future. But yeah, I think this is definitely in the canon of Scary Tales. Unofficially,
I think I would lump it into.
Yeah.
And it's a great house. I liked it a lot. The scares are pretty good. There were times on my third and fourth walkthrough that I got really genuine scares.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. I'm just looking forward to everything else a little bit more.
Yes.
If I hadn't seen this one yet, it might be different. But because I have, and I know what it is, and I saw it so many times, I'm like, yeah, that'll probably be the last one I visit.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
And
yeah,
one more.
Yes. So on the website, there was only a little sentence for this next one, but I actually found through someone on Twitter, like a bit more about it. So Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth. The HHN website says, follow the trail of a private eye as an investigation into the supernatural leads you into the dark world of ghouls and terrifying creatures. And then this little bit that I have to explain what Legendary Truth is a bit more. The world of Legendary Truth, an evolving story following a mysterious paranormal research group, has haunted guests via unique haunted houses throughout Halloween Horror Nights history. In Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth, guests will step into the well-worn shoes of the infamous Boris Schuster, the elusive... Schuster. Oh, I can't talk. Mr. Schuster from Glee. That's funny. Wow. The elusive private eye investigating the supernatural as he endlessly searches for clues to a series of strange occurrences throughout New York City. Falling further into the shadowy, dark world of the paranormal, guests will face an overwhelming onslaught of ghouls, poltergeists, and terrors, all while trying to solve the biggest mystery of them all, how they'll survive. I don't know where the person on Twitter got that from, but I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this artwork for it right now, and it looks cool. Really, really cool. Mm-hmm. This is a house I think I'm like back and forth on like being most and least excited for, because and it's for the same reason each time, where like we just don't really know what to expect in here. Because the Legendary Truth House, the Wyandotte estate that they did in the past was like visiting a haunted house, and like encountering all the paranormal things happening in that one house in the Wyandotte estate. But this feels like it's going to be something very different with multiple things in it. And the artwork looks like there's like a Yeti, some like Yeti. Girl with horns, like a dragon thing, a tentacle monster. Mm-hmm. The one in the middle, I'm going to just say that looks like a vampire, but I don't really know. But all sorts of stuff. This is going to be cool.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Awesome. Kind of X-Files-ish, huh?
Yes. I have a friend who loves the X-Files, and she was very mad that she was like, there's an X-Files house and I'm not in it. But yeah, and again, Legendary Truth is such a good fit for a celebration of the event's history, because it is such a part of the event's history. And I've also heard a lot of people wanting Bloody Mary to be there, because that's kind of where the character of Boris Schuster was brought into Horror Nights, because it was a name that was on a window in New York, like forever. It had always been there. Mm-hmm. So the Bloody Mary backstory kind of took that name off the window and made him a character in the story of Mary Agana. And then that's kind of what he's been ever since. And so this is just following up on that. And so people also, Universal can't really use Bloody Mary because that is a trademarked name that they licensed for that year and created their own character, but they can't really use the name anymore. But they can reference her, Easter egg her, drop hints and stuff. You just can't use the name, or they might even be able to use the character and just not call her Bloody Mary.
That's what a lot of people have been speculating about. So I think we'll see her somehow.
Yeah. We'll at least see her mirror.
This is another cool house where it's tying in HHN history in one way or another. And that's really cool. Yeah. It seems like a recurring theme that they're trying to they're making different scare zones and houses where they're able to bring in lots of different pieces from the past, right? It's not like just one house all dedicated to one aspect. It's like, let's do this house and make it so that we can bring in 10 different aspects of the past. And this is another way they've done that. That's cool.
Yeah. Like looking at this house lineup, I'm looking at which of these houses are kind of tied to the history of the event. So I would say of the 4 IP houses, 3 of them are tied to the history of the event. Beetlejuice is part of the event's history. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this will be the 3rd time that it is officially represented at the event. Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. Obviously, the Universal Monsters are a crucial part of the event's history. HHN Icons Captured is obvious, goes without saying. There's Welcome to Scary, obviously celebrating the history, and then Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth. So of the 10 houses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are tied to the event's history. Haunting of Hill House is the only new IP that has nothing to do with the past. And
Beetlejuice.
Puppet Theater is brand new. No, Beetlejuice has been at the event before, just not as a house, but the character has been used.
Okay.
He hosted a game show called The Price is Fright that I wish I could see.
All right. Yeah.
He was also in the first year of the event, 91. We talked about him. Yeah.
He's been around.
Yeah.
So Wicked Growth might be a return of something we've seen before. We don't really know yet, but they've done a lot of pumpkin stuff. So maybe we'll see some of those returning. But Puppet Theater and Revenge of the Tooth Fairy are brand new. So yeah, there's just so much of celebrating 30 years of this all over the place.
It's so
Very
awesome.
pumped.
Well done, guys. Well done, creative.
Yeah. Just a little bit. We woke up this morning to a basically finished tribute store facade.
Oh, yeah.
So that is super cool. It looks beautiful. If you haven't seen pictures of it yet, go check them out. Horror Nights posted them as like a happy Friday the 13th, but also every other, Orlando Universal Halloween Horror Nights blog post. And then we also officially found out what is behind those doors in Islands of Adventure, over by right before Harry Potter, right next to the Mystic Fountain
in Lost Continent.
Yeah, in Lost Continent.
So I didn't even know there was a mystery about these doors. What's going on?
Yeah. So they, not even a few months ago, like 8 or 9 months ago, they put up that store. It was like a little boutique thing, and it closed. And then all of a sudden one day, over all the windows was this like diamond pattern, black and orange with like pumpkins and owls and skulls. And everyone was like, oh, it's going to be a Halloween Horror Nights bar. It's going to be something Halloween Horror Nights. Oh, Halloween Horror Nights is going to be in both parks this year. And this is the hint, blah, blah, blah. None of those things. It is a All Hallows Eve boutique at Islands of Adventure. I'm looking right now at Orlando Informer pictures. It looks beautiful. It basically has all the decorations from the tribute store last year. So the pumpkins, the fall, like orange leafed trees. There's a hearse, which is pretty cool, like an old fashioned like wagon hearse. And it's pretty much just all horror merchandise. Like it's basically, I think, going to be a year round Halloween Horror Nights tribute store.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but a bunch of people have posted it so far. So if you go on Facebook or Twitter, to all of those listening, you'll see all the pictures, or go check it out for yourself. I don't know any hours or anything. I don't know days it's going to be open. We don't have that information yet, but it did open as of today. Yes.
That's so cool.
I'm looking for these pictures, and I haven't. Is this it? Oh, here it is. All Hallows Eve Boutique. Okay. Neat. Okay. And yeah. That giant scarecrow that was in the entrance of the main Universal Studio store last year for HHN Light is in there. And that's cool because both parks have a year-round Christmas store. So now maybe this will be a year-round Halloween store for IOA. That would be cool.
And it looks like we have some, so they have all of the like HHN preview merchandise that we've been getting in the Five and Dime store over in Universal. But there was, and now of course I cannot find it. There was a picture that someone posted of a special 30 Years, 30 Fears shirt that looked somewhat newer that we hadn't seen yet. But I'm sure like the merchandise that we get for Horror Nights this year is also going to be in this store. So
yeah,
sweet.
I can't remember. Is the Horror Nights merchandise usually in the main Islands of Adventure gift shop, or do you have to get it in City Walk or Universal?
Yeah, there's usually some in there too. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then there goes what I was going to say.
Oh. Well, alrighty then. But yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Me too. Lots of good buzz.
We have an event.
We have an event. So let's get those tickets bought, guys.
Only a couple weeks left.
Oh my God.
I think it's like 22 days, right?
3 weeks. 3 weeks exactly until opening night.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I started my viewing homework. I watched disc 1 of Haunting of Hill House last night, and I watched Beetlejuice, and I watched some Crypt TV stuff. So I'm doing my marathons. I'm getting started.
Yeah, I think all I have left is The Bride of Frankenstein, because I've watched Haunting of Hill House, and I watched it for a second time more recently. I watched Beetlejuice for the very first time. A lot of people came for me on Twitter when I tweeted that. I apologize. I just want to say that flat out. I am so sorry it took me this long. I know I'd seen snippets of it in the past, but not the full movie. It was fantastic. I have no bad words to say about it. It was really, really great. I don't know why I didn't realize Michael Keaton was Beetlejuice. That took me a hot second, and I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Like, obviously, like, I knew he was Beetlejuice, but I don't think it clicked in my head until the second time I'd seen him in the movie, and I was like, oh my God, wait, oh, duh. That's how my brain works. And then I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time as well. Didn't have the same reaction to that as I did Beetlejuice. I will say that.
I don't love that movie, but I think it works great as a haunted house.
Yeah, as a haunted house, absolutely. It was really slow. I was watching, and I found myself just mindlessly like scrolling on Twitter as it played. Yeah. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. But I think the weirdest part for me was the very end when the girl is driving away in the back of the truck covered in blood, and he's just there in a suit with a weird wig spinning in circles with a chainsaw. Like, I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't know what it is with that movie that makes it a classic.
Yeah.
It might be one of those things where, like, at the time when it came out in the 70s, like, no one had ever seen anything like it. And so it was like groundbreaking, but by today's standard, it's kind of doesn't really hold up as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be watching Beetlejuice this weekend with my family and introducing the movie to my 2 girls for the first time ever.
Nice.
Which one of them is 10. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but we shall find out.
It's a PG. It
is not PG. It's not.
Yes, it is.
PG.
No,
it's
it is not.
PG, isn't it?
At least PG-13.
There are definitely some pretty strong sexual innuendos in there for sure.
Yeah, I think it's at least PG-13.
It might have come out before the PG-13 rating existed, actually.
Yeah, by today's standards, it is not PG.
Because I think they say the F word a few times too.
Do they?
Which,
I don't think
she hears.
I
me
think
say
Beetlejuice
that,
does.
The sexual stuff might have her asking questions I'm not quite ready to answer, but we are going to watch it.
They used to play it on Disney Channel, I think, when I was a kid.
Oh,
that's where I used to watch it.
What?
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe
they cut the few scenes that, or like they dubbed over like things that he said. Or
like the TV version would have that stuff cut out for sure.
Yeah.
I could have sworn.
Anyway, that's on our weekend to-do list. So we're starting our prep too.
Yay!
But I think that will do it, guys, for this episode. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you soon in the fog. Until next week, for more content, be sure to check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/rushoffear and follow us on Instagram at rush.of.fear. And of course, if you'd like to attend this year's event, please reach out to Mouse and Muggle Travel Company. You can visit our website at mouseandmuggle.com and fill out a no obligation quote request, or you can email yours truly directly at Michelle, that's with 2 L's, MICHELLE, at mouseandmuggle.com.
Ooh, and I wanted to plug my band, Pangolin, and our Halloween show that we're doing this year, Pangolin Presents The Family Ghouls. It is a live stage show that is us in costume as kind of punk versions of the classic Universal monsters, playing original songs that we wrote just for this. It will be a 5-track EP, or a mini album for those who don't really know music release terms. It will be an EP that comes out September 3rd, which is opening day of Halloween Horror Nights. And the live show will be in Orlando at Will's Pub on October 2nd. We have tickets for sale. We also have a Spreadshirt page where you can buy a shirt, because we wanted to have shirts for the show, but it is going to be too cost prohibitive, and it would take too long to get them in order to have them at the show. So we just did the Spreadshirt thing. We're not really even making any money off of those shirts. We're selling them at cost just because we want people to have them for cheap. So that is Pangolin Presents The Family Ghouls, October 2nd live show. Tickets are $10, and it includes a free copy of the CD, which will only be available at our shows. You won't be able to buy it online or anything. So that is a new thing that I'm working on that's super exciting. Part of the reason, the main reason that I'm not working at Halloween Horror Nights this year, I didn't even apply, didn't even audition, because I knew we were working on this and it was going to take up a ton of my time. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I keep forgetting to plug it on here. But if any of you are in Orlando or will be in Orlando on October 2nd, I would love it if you came to check it out. We've been working really hard on it. We wrote a script. We're learning lines. We're doing makeup and costume. We created projection backgrounds, full projection package, lighting effects. There's so much. The basic premise is we are pretending Universal asked us to create a show to replace Bill and Ted and kind of fill that void in the Horror Nights event. And so we created a show that kind of feels something like that. So so you can follow the band everywhere online at Pangolin FL. That's PANGOLINFL. We're a punk band. We are a lighthearted, silly, flavored punk band. So yes, that is that plug.
Thanks for listening, everyone. The podcast has come to an end. Now get out.